Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dear distinguished representative of institution, colleagues, and guests from North Macedonia and from all EUSAIR participating countries. Welcome to this panel session here in Skopje. It is a pleasure and an honor to moderate today's discussion dedicated to an important topic for our region, sustainable tourism, cultural cooperation, and regional connectivity in the Adriatic Union area. As a brief introduction, let me recall that EUSAIR, the EU strategy for the Adriatic and Union region, provides a framework for cooperation among the countries of the region aiming to strengthen joint development, connectivity, and sustainable management of shared resources. Within this framework, Pillar 4, Sustainable Tourism, plays a particularly important role. Its objective is to support the development of a more competitive, sustainable, inclusive, and better connected tourism sector on that values local communities, cultural heritage, natural resources, and the authenticity of destinations. Today's panel offers exactly these different perspectives: an institutional perspective, a youth perspective, and a practical local example. Dear, it's my great pleasure to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Fotis Vlachos from the Hellenic Ministry of Culture. Mr. Vlachos has extensive experience in cultural diplomacy, international cooperation, EUSAIR, UNESCO, and the implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. His presentation is entitled The Perspective of Mediterranean in the EUSAIR Communities. Mr. Vlachos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, my dear colleague Afet. Thank you also for the hospitality and the invitation to participate in this panel. Good afternoon to everybody. I will just provide the presentation for the Accelerating EUSAIR Impact. And first of all, to introduce myself also as thematic steering group member in Pillar 4. Pillar 4 is the sustainable tourism and cultural issues, actually, pillar that so far is implementing, is trying actually with the cooperation with our members and friends and colleagues within, under the coordination of Croatia and Albania, co-coordination with Albania, to implement and embedding the strategy. That means the action plan, the revised action plan now. And let's see a little bit in the presentation some results that we have from the thematic steering group work, especially the last year, and to give us the opportunity to understand more or less and the concept that we have for the implementation of the strategy. So, the most important thing, probably I have to move a little bit here. I'm sorry. The most important is that we have to see the context of thematic steering group work recently, the last year, under the context of some specific actions that we have made. So the perception of Mediterranean in the EUSAIR community is that it is the main topic that we discussed today, has the following context that we can present. The European Commission adopts the revised action plan for EUSAIR and Pillar 4. This is the most important thing that happened recently. And we have in the sustainable tourism the revision of priorities we will see in the presentation. We have amending and implementing EUSAIR revised action plan. So we have the action plan, but it's not enough. We have to find a way through the thematic steering group to understand the priorities and to see how we can implement them in cooperation with all the member states and the communities. After that, we have to see exactly the result. The first result, the most clear result, is the cross-pillar flagship. And we will discuss for this presentation for the Mediterranean Diet flagship. Also, we have something new to present today, that it is the first version of one publication, the issue paper we said, but it is a publication and a study. And to be honest, because I read this and the coordinator and me, it's quite extended and gives specific data and specific guidelines and for the framework and some conclusions that are very important and interesting for the continuation of our work. And of course, because I'm coming from the Ministry of Culture, Hellenic Ministry of Culture, and I have the honor and to represent also our ministry, we want to see the priority of cultural tourism in our case, and to understand this as a case in all the member states as priority within our administration and within the country in the end. So, just to know that the structure includes not only the actions that were running. Many people probably you are in the strategy since 2015, that we had some specific actions identified, but we had to find a way to update the actions and to make a revision. So thanks to the European Commission that is always supporting us, and we have always, and with Zeal, a very close cooperation, and thank you for this. We finalized after 2 years or 3 years, I don't remember, of consultation with George Emanuel, that was a dear colleague and supporting all this process. All the members of the thematic steering group finalized the priorities together with the European Commission and the facility point and the governance structure support projects. So we finalized everything, and we find some specific revised action plan introducing, first of all, the 5th pillar. This is the first clear outcome that came. So we had the 4 pillars that was blue, sustainable economy, connecting the region, the environmental quality, and sustainable tourism, of course. And now we have a new one. We have the additional to these 4, the social inclusion, that it is the 5th pillar actually on this new strategy, the revised strategy. And also we have identified new areas for EUSAIR that stage a stage for a more resilient and interconnected Adriatic-Ionian region. Let's focus in the actions and the revised action plan in Pillar 4, the sustainable tourism, which is the most important thing. We have here, you can see that we have 3 main topics that more or less we transfer the previous topics in much more systematic way with the cooperation of all of us, I repeat, all the members of the thematic steering group. Just let me to underline that this cooperation is not by definition. It was a great cooperation, great coordination, and we had a very harmonic consultation between the countries, so it's very important to know that. So we came to the 3 main topics: digital and green transition, knowledge, skills, and management. Probably all these 2 days you have listened many times, all this. And of course, we have the new topic of greening of tourism. And this is a main topic that we started working in the last year with the members. And these topics have 3 main actions: the promoting agritourism, ecotourism, and fishing tourism. We are speaking for the new topic, promoting rural tourism, and promoting the Mediterranean diet and local organic and origin production. What we did is that we found out that there is not only the Pillar 4 that is connected with this action, but also is connected the other 2 pillars, that is the Pillar 1 and Pillar 5. So we were trying to make a very challenging exercise to make an interpillar project. That the experience up to date was not in favor of this, but we started working on this a lot, and we found out that it could happen. So the most important thing in the work of the thematic steering group is that we had the consensus, and based on the consensus, we had a new flagship project, the first activity. The second was the working group on interpillar flagship, and the publication, as I said. Now, let's see some milestones in this initiative of Mediterranean diet, because Mediterranean diet was the most important action that happened. So we have the adoption of EUSAIR revised action plan. We have the TSG4 members that proposed the session in the 10th EUSAIR annual forum in Creta, and we moderated this, and it was very successful. And then we established the workshops that contributed to the EUSAIR partnership flagship project and interpillar workshops and with entities. So we had a very important workshop in Italy that happened on 29-30 September 2025, and it was a cross-period approach methodology, again with the 3 pillars. And also there is a very important initiative that we established working groups. The working group met twice online, that it is 1st December 2025 and 12th February 2026. And just to announce today that there is a 3rd meeting already to be organized online again in 11th of June 2026. Just it is first invitation that came out and save the date, so we are expecting to see the results of this. We have some information of Bari workshop. I will not say many things because we will not have the time, but you can read here that the focus of the workshop, it was organized during the presidency of North Macedonia. That is very important action that happened during your presidency. It was GM Bari that had the whole initiative organized, and thanks for this because it was very well organized. A lot of discussion happened. Of course, it was the support of DG Region and DGP cooperation with DG Agri and DG Grow, DG Move. Here we can see a very good example of cooperation between all the directors generals, because I guess like in the ministries also, it's not by definition that we have horizontal cooperation in this kind of level that we had in this Mediterranean diet project. And we have workshop topics and outcomes that were used. We had 3 workshops that were used in order to have some specific questions and to find out some specific actions on this. We have some conclusions of this. Developing tourism service, there are a lot of conclusions, but we have put here in table the most important of them. Some extremely important, for example, that young people are not interested in agriculture living in a rural area, that we found out through the discussions within the working groups. Also, we found out the well-being as main topic. I mean, it's not the Mediterranean diet that we are thinking all of us as just food, but also it is the well-being, it's the health. So it's important that we understand this. And of course, what we found out the very important support that we have from the governance structures projects. I mean, the STEP platform that we found, SP4 that continues cooperating with us to develop the flagship, and this is very important, and thanks for this, because the European Commission posed the funds on these governance structures, but also we found them very useful during the implementation of this flagship project. We have written some basic outcomes through the online meeting that we had on 1st of December. So the working group members presented some draft of rules of procedures, which is very important because also it came to the governance papers, this process. And we understood that we have to meet at least twice per year in order to find out our common ground and to see how to proceed. So we have already presented the meetings that we are planning. It is 11th of June, the next one. Probably we'll have another one during the year, closing the year, or we will see how it will go. And the second online meeting, and here we have a very good example, because suddenly we had even closer cooperation with very important stakeholders, that it is Forum AIC, that expressed interest to hosting meeting in person during EUSAIR Italian presidency. There was a very active participation, and we've tried to find out the way how to cooperate in order to have concrete results in the end of the development. What I will say more on this is that we have already, we had a huge data that we don't use in the presentation with potential partners. It was initial proposal, but after we have to see how it will go and to see who will be the interest partnership, entity to partnership, and so to establish the partnership and to continue with the partnership. So more or less, we are in the process. The last thing that I will say is that the rule of procedures and the flagship project there is a consensus of the thematic steering group members, which is extremely important to continue the whole implementation. And now we are coming to the study, which is a very new activity that happened, initiative. The first version of publication came just now. I mean, it is just 1 week ago that we received the first version of publication. It is called Testing Sustainability Mediterranean Diet as a Cultural and Tourism Asset in the EUSAIR Food Identity and Sustainability, leveraging the Mediterranean diet in Adriatic and agritourism. It's important that it came after public procurement made by Croatia Ministry of Tourism and Sport. So thank you so much for this initiative, because it helps a lot. It is funded by the IPA Adrian program. And it is project activity of EUSAIR Facility Point project and done by Noticia. Not many words for this because it is just came out, so we will have a little bit, as I understand, consultation between the member states. We will exchange information, but here you can see the main things that you can have. I mean, the purpose, the approach that was following, the methodology. The structure includes executive summary, introduction and codex framework, Mediterranean diet, UNESCO as always untouchable cultural heritage, the Mediterranean diet as a resource for sustainable tourism, good practices, synergies and cooperation models. I will say two things on this, and conclusions and policy recommendations. What is important to see here in this paper is that we have a global and USAID dimension. It's very important that we found out the contribution of Mediterranean diet to the agenda, United Nations Agenda 2030. So we are speaking for goal 2, 3, 8, 12, 14, and 15. It was very interesting to understand how much important the importance of this flagship project within the Agenda 2030. The framework of EU institutions, that we have different frameworks. I mean, European Greek Deal, EU Strategy for Sustainable Tourism, Transition Pathway of Tourism, European Agency for Tourism, and so on. And of course, in the national level, that we have the USAIR countries dealing with this. And another issue that appeared and is very important in this study is the horizontal cooperation framework. That the horizontal cooperation framework refers exactly to what we are missing in every time. I mean, the financial tools. So we have a first approach where we would focus our attention when we want to achieve funds. And this is Indirect Padrion Program, European Territorial Cooperation Program, Euromed Heritage Program, Creative Euro Program, Digital Euro Program, European Heritage Level, and Next Generation EU. More or less presents the reality of the flagship, which is the following. We believe that this flagship and European Commission, and we started having the ownership of all this, believing that this is an umbrella flagship, a new model of flagship, not the traditional ones that we had with just one flagship specific activity, but the umbrella flagship that there you can approach different financial mechanisms, and through this financial mechanism you can have different thematics that can approach in specific branches of the umbrella. So, for example, if you want to go to the cultural heritage or to go to the research, you can go to Horizon, or you go to the European Territorial Cooperation Program, for example, with specific activity, or to go to Creative Europe with cultural heritage issues or media issues, and you can approach there for the specific activities that fix to the calls that they are coming. And of course, probably it is very important based on this and the coordinators and task managers of the donors to take under consideration that we are expecting from them to have in the course these thematics. So it's very important to have inter alia cooperation through this study that could help everybody on this direction. This is just some specific tools that we can find inside. I mean, some outcomes that you can find inside as a resource for sustainable tourism. It's a strategic tool, links with culture, supports the shifts on mass coastal tourism, year-round inland, island, and to rural tourism, that it is a request from everybody to have all the year-round tourism, actually, the new models. The organic agriculture, how it's coming with the USAID countries, so it is a linkage with Pillar 1 as well. And also the potential of Mediterranean as a foundation for sustainable tourist products. And this is, from the analysis, you can find the integration of food heritage into tourism offers and destination development strategies, very important for the tourism, and roles of, for example, for SMEs or local communities, territorial development, extremely important for everybody. Here, why I put this table? This is a table from inside from the publication, but what is important here to understand that the publication is not made only by one body. I mean, this company maybe that, or consult company or the ministry that made, but there was a consultation with the countries So through the coordinator, there was a consultation with some specific tables and requests for good practices. So the countries provided the good practices to the authors, and the good practices, from the good practices that were presented, some concrete results came that could be used as different pillars within this study, and we could take out the results in the future to use for creating new policies or new activities. The conclusions of the study probably are very important. Core value is culture, sustainability, identity, health, and local communities. It is a EUSAIR opportunity in the resilience, inclusiveness, authentic, and sustainable tourism model. It is a resource for sustainable tourism in EUSAIR, and we have the SWOT analysis within the study that was missing up to date. We didn't have a specific tool like this, so we see first time a SWOT analysis. And there are some policy recommendations in the level of governance, in the living heritage as a product to the SMEs and producers, short chains, and so on. And of course, digitalization, digital tools and smart tourism ecosystems that could be presented within the study, and we can find out how important they will be, these tools, and to fix with to shift with the digitalization the priorities of the new revised action plan. I left this for the end. It refers to the cultural tourism. This is how our ministry is involved as priority with cultural tourism. So I would like to thank also the Hellenic Ministry of Culture and the Hellenic Ministry of Tourism, especially the coordination through them to the Pillar 4, Mr. Dimitris Bloukos, that is cooperating with us on a daily basis. Our Directorate of International Relations, that it is responsible, and European Union, that is focal point within the thematic steering group for the sustainable tourism sector. And of course, we are also participating in the Cultural Roots program of the Council of Europe, so we can find linkages between all these things within a project like Mediterranean Diet, for example, and promoting also Greek proposals that we have the European roots of Kazantzakis, or the Elea root, that it is a culture of olive oil, or we have Dervits, for example, for the wine, that are roots, cultural roots that could be included within the Mediterranean Diet program. And this is how it works and becomes prioritizing in Greece. And I guess it is also the model and the case for all the countries that we are participating in an harmonized way, and to the other bodies, I mean, and UNESCO, and the Council of Europe, and other intergovernmental bodies within the region, that we can have now the opportunity through the cooperation that we have through the thematic steering group to expand this cooperation in all these other bodies, and it is of benefit of all of us. It's not just as one state, but it is as a region. And now we can see all the benefit of this work that we are doing 1 year now, and 2 years and 3 years in the past before. But it's very concrete result. To the end, probably Eva permits me to thank you so much and your team for all this cooperation. It's an incredible way that you are coordinating us. And also to thank all the colleagues I see here, Daniel and from Bosnia, my friend, here you are, and all the other friends that we have in the thematic steering group, our directorate, our ministry, and also European Commission for all the support. And just to say that we are working also to one more project. I mean, we are expecting now through consultation to develop rural tourism project. And it's going well, as I understood, from the consultation. It's smooth as it is in the past. So new products, new area, new presentations for our colleagues in the future. Thank you so much, and thanks everything for the support and cooperation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vlachos, for your valuable insights into the links between cultural identity, the Mediterranean perspective, and sustainable tourism. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Adnan Solak, member of the EUSAIR Youth Council from Bosnia and Herzegovina. With both academic and practical experience in international relations, youth engagement, and tourism, he brings an important perspective on the future development of the region. His presentation is entitled Tourism in the Adriatic and Ionian region through the lens of youth. What kind of tourism young people want to develop? Mr. Solak, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And I would firstly like to thank all of you for coming here. I'm sure all of you are feeling a bit drained, especially as the forum is approaching its conclusion. As for my presentation, okay, there we go.
It's okay?
Yep,
Okay.
everything's fine. This is the points I will be going through from the development of the initiatives we as the Youth Council worked on, what we pinpointed as certain issues, and then later on I will be moving to connect this to our pillar 4 in the touristic sector and tourism generally. So how did we go about developing these initiatives? Before I start with the budget, the procedures, the statistics, I would like to paint a certain picture for all of you to imagine. You are a young person in your 20s, living in the Adriatic and Ionian region. You have finished your university degree, you speak multiple languages, you may have even left your hometown to work on yourself more, and eventually you decide to come back to the region. And when you do come back, you're left with a sense of emptiness due to the lack of opportunities we have here. And you're forced to survive in the region. You cannot focus on any more personal development or to chase anything further due to various issues which we as the Youth Council decide to work upon. That's why the initiatives I will talk about, they aren't just projects on paper. They're what the youth identified as issues, and we want to express that and point that out to all of you. So the first initiative that was voted in was reclaiming the right to the city. I think all of us are familiar with the fact that the prices of real estate and the housing affordability and availability at the end of the day is a very big issue. Well, now, this also does connect to tourism in a certain sense, that the more tourism that a city or country has, that can grow into a certain concept known as hypertourism. When we have hypertourism, that increases the prices of real estate where people that live in those communities cannot afford it anymore, and they're pushed out. Those communities that were once livable, habitable places become museums at the end of the day. We find that very sad as a fact. So what we addressed in this initiative is that we as the youth connect with policymakers, decision makers, and try to engage in constructive dialogue with them to work on real estate prices and availability. That is a very difficult concept because at the end of the day, this is a global issue as well, especially with different outside factors, inflations, geopolitical events, and as such. But we hope at the end of the day that we will be able to come to constructive dialogue. And these are some technical details here, which I won't go through all of them, but you can see the budget and timeline, the progress, the main activities. The actual finalization of the initiative is planned for Greece in October, November, at the end of this year. As for the main activity, we are in dialogue with Pillar 5. We're working on this together with them. And that's it for this initiative. For the next initiative I want to talk about, it's the European Youth Council Youth Mentorship Network. Now, I painted that picture at the beginning of this discussion. A lot of the times you are missing because unfortunately we as a region work like that, you're missing certain networking connections to employ yourself in certain sectors, or you might even lack the knowledge. Even with your education, there is certain things that is not taught in official schooling. So what we proposed here is to connect us as youth. We identify certain issues, and then we use your expertise, all of you here, to connect us with certain mentors. That way we gain knowledge, we gain practical experience, and at the same time we don't want to just be left, okay, they help us find a job, but we want to be in contact with them constantly and learn to actually do it properly, not just find a job and then not be able to do our function in that role. This is also the technical details with the budget and timeline. It's supposed to be on an 8-month pilot cycle, with the main goal I already talked about. And we are currently in communication with the necessary people for this initiative. For the next one, I would say this is the first initiative we talked about even before the voting procedures and the official discussions. We're organizing a hackathon in San Marino with Pillar 2 Transport. It should be a 24 to 48-hour international event where youth would get the opportunity to go to San Marino and express their ideas on how infrastructural issues could be solved throughout the region. This also ties into tourism because I think one of the main concerns that I've personally heard from tourists is the infrastructure problems across the region. Some states suffer more than others do that because of that, but I think through here it would be interesting to also hear the youth perspective on the transportation issues. And it would also bring the youth from all 10 countries together to do a constructive dialogue alongside mentors that would actually have professional experience in that field from Pillar 2. This is the current progress. I already mentioned Pillar 2. The main event is planned for March 2027. My colleague from the Youth Council from San Marino, Francesco, he already is in contact with the stakeholders and the universities in San Marino to organize this event. Yeah. This is the final initiative I will present, which are the EUSAIR thematic briefings. This initiative is more involved within the internal cohesion of the EUSAIR structures, where we found, especially last year, a year ago exactly, during the annual forum in Crete, we didn't have an exact idea of how the government structures worked and how the internal workings of the pillars worked. So over time we figured it out because it's been a year. However, we also came up with this idea. It would be especially useful for new members that come along, which is to be in contact with the pillar coordinators, and then we will identify certain issues within each pillar. Then we'll decide within the Youth Council what issues are the most prominent, be in contact with the pillar coordinators, and you can assign us to certain experts in regards to those issues. We can have 60 to 90-minute online meetings focused on the EUSAIR topics and projects. And then afterwards, that would be archived and put onto the site for new members that come after us, so they can start with more knowledge ahead of time, so they don't have to start from scratch like we did. So that's the last initiative I will present. But now I will shift a bit to tourism and what my presentation was called at the end of the day. So I wanted to begin with off-season tourism. The thing is, I'm pretty sure all of the 10 countries in EUSAIR, from San Marino, Italy, to Greece, the main tourist season is focused on the summer. It's the season from the second half of May until the beginning of September. The region is lively, brilliant. People are earning, they're all doing concrete jobs, everyone's satisfied. But what happens after that? After that, I won't say it becomes dead. There are tourists as well. However, not nearly to the extent of the summer period which we have. That also causes other issues where, okay, we just mentioned this, but it causes other issues and instabilities, from infrastructural problems to environmental degradation because of over-tourism in these regions. Okay. Back here. So what I was just talking about, this was taken from the UNTO World Tourism Barometer. This was in 2023. The percentages may have been changed slightly because of the 3 years gap, but these are the estimated share of annual tourist activities in the region. As we can see, from June till September, that's the peak season. And then we have these shoulder seasons, which connect summer to the other ones, 10 to 15%. During winter, 5 to 10%, and it, again, as I've written there, it's limited mostly to cities and business travel. I can speak from personal experience as well, because when I have to guide tourists around, that I do that as my other job. During winter, there's barely anyone there, and when there is, it's mostly from hotel to hotel, conference to conference. Okay, that's fine. We have business tourism, perfect. But it's not sustainable, it's not long term. It's mostly 2-3 days layover destinations, and then they're going back to their home countries where they came from. And now we're going to the effects of over-tourism, where it has an environmental impact with coastal pollution, ecosystem damage, and waste increase. Most of the cities that were made back 20, 30, 40 years ago, they were developed in the sense of that time they never expected that much tourism to be engaged. And we can definitely tell that by the waste increases, the water shortages, and unfortunately, some cities have begun to implement shortages, limitations on the amount of tourists that can arrive in those cities. That's one solution. However, from my perspective, at the same time, there will have to be a development of infrastructure, not just roads or anything, but the infrastructure in regards to plumbing, electricity, because that all crashes down after certain moments because of the amount of people that are coming into the country. And of course, the social impact is the same. What I talked about at the beginning, where the local people that live there start to feel like foreigners because they're forced to move out of their regions. So, yeah. And some solutions that are just ideas being thrown around at this point is to diversify and expand touristic options in the region generally, because we really have a beautiful region with so much potential, but unfortunately only a part of it is being used. And I think also one of the priorities that was being talked about, and that Fotis mentioned as well, was the Mediterranean diet will help with this, obviously, because it will diversify the entire touristic sector. However, after this, I also want to talk about my last point, which is interconnecting and accessible tourism. It's directly related to what I just mentioned, but there should be a shared tourism model, because right now, in my experience, because most people that arrive to a region as tourists, they either decide to travel the entire region, but they plan it themselves. It's not necessarily packaged or easily accessible at the end of the day, or they only arrive in one state or one country rather, and then leave really quickly based on their preferences necessarily, because not all of the countries can offer the same things at the same prices, because that's just how they work. How about implementing multi-country tourism packages based on the Scandinavian model? Because in the Scandinavian model, that's what they did, and it increased their tourism tenfold, and it allowed them to expand, have a bigger capacity for the amount of tourists that they can bring into the country. These are just some hypotheticals that are on the screen. Obviously, if this was ever worked on, this could be shaped in and smoothed out. These are 4 routes encompassing different things that these different countries have to offer. But it's just an idea from the youth perspective, because it would make it easier to go across the region. And alongside these multi-country tourism packages, another thing that it can involve is improving accessibility and connectivity, because there will be faster rail connections, expanded ferry networks, and you could we can also talk about digitalization. You can buy a ticket for any route that you want, and you are on your way. You don't have to stop at every point, plan everything, because they are already included in the packages. That's just a suggestion. And yeah, this is what my predictions, what it would bring. But I would also love to hear your opinions eventually after the panel, because all of you have more experience than me. This is a youth perspective from the certain experience I have working in tourism and as a traveler at the same time. So yeah, thank you, and that's it.
Finish. Thank you, Mr. Solak, for that fresh and important youth perspective on the future of tourism in our region. For our third presentation, it is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Linda Grebac, Director of the Tourist Board of Kastelir Labinci, Croatia. Her work is strongly focused on authentic local development, connecting tourism with agriculture, and building sustainable local identity. Her presentation is entitled Rural Tourism in EUSAIR Communities, What Makes Kastelir Labinci Village the Best Tourism Village in 2025, nominated by UN Tourism. Ms. Grebac, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Maybe it's video or... Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. It's coming. Okay.
Na crvenoj grudi vinogradi gdje stoje, tu je korijen života, srce pustilo moje, starom gradu na brijegu, koda stali su sati, tu me rodila moja najdraža mati. Samo
So, good afternoon to everyone. I'm very grateful to be here and to have this opportunity to tell you something about my place, about destination Kastelir Labinci, and why are we the best village in 2025. So, you already saw the video. Some basic information about our destination. We are a rural destination close to Poreč. Poreč is one of the most popular and big destinations in Croatia. And this 10 kilometers away from Poreč means a lot to us because we can really rely on Poreč, but also in summer season we have our peace, our authenticity, and we are so far away from city crowd. Our area is around 35 kilometers per square. Population 1,641 inhabitants, and the municipality is consisting of 15 small villages. We are surrounded by vineyards, olive groves, forest, lands, so we don't have sea. In 2025, there were 11,836 arrivals and around 100 overnight stays. So, in 2025, we won this UN Best Tourism Villages Award. To win and to win this award, you must pass these 9 criteria, from cultural and natural resources, promotion and conservation of cultural resource, economic sustainability, social sustainability, environmental sustainability, tourism development, prioritization of tourism, infrastructure and connectivity, and health, safety, and security. First, we were in upgrade program in 2021. That means that experts from UNWTO saw some potential in our destination, but we also have some areas to be better and to also make improvement. So finally, in 2025, we won this award. So I will say that we are a small destination with clear identity. Unlike many other coastal destinations in Istria, we don't have sea, and the sea is not our main tourism resource. Also, we don't have hotels, big hotel chains, campsite. All our accommodation is provided through family apartments, villas with pools, and we have one Robinson campsite, but also in little. A family is owner of this campsite, and no glampings, no mobile home, just campsite. Also, what is very important is that we develop our identity through the connection with agriculture and with local traditions and local producers. So I will say that our key development directions are combining tourism with agriculture and local production, supporting family farms, wineries, and olive oil producers, preserving authentic rural landscapes and traditions, and promoting gastronomy, wine culture, cycling, and other outdoors activities. One of our big strengths are young families. Young families who are involved in agriculture and developing their own businesses. So we have very famous olive producers, and their olive oil are in Flos-Oley, very famous wineries, and also from last years we have some craft beverage producers like gin, tonic, and beer. So our core is local production. The main thing happened in 2023 when municipality opened this local food store. We are a very small municipality, and besides this store, we have only one small market. And this local food store now is a center marketplace for local farmers. In this way, this is strong support for local agriculture and production. Also, each day tourists came to this store, and they know that every day they buy some fresh fruits and vegetables directly from the field. And in this way, we also support this zero waste concept. And we are making this connection between tourism and local producers. And also, what is very important is that many local farmers and producers don't have their own space to promote their local products like tasting room and winery. So in this way, with this store, they can be, the tourists can see and heard about them. Also, we have made our destination branding. All our products carry the label Original Castelliere Labinci. That means that the products come directly from our local producers. So tourists know that when they buy something, this is authentic product from municipality. And also in this way, they support local producers, and tourists really like some kind of stuff because they don't need to go in bigger cities in supermarket, and they have all here in our store, and they really love this. Sorry. All our events are included with local producers. So for example, we have gourmet bike in pre-season and post-season. Tourists can cycle through the village and meet all our local family farms in these 15 villages that we have. And after completing the route, we return to this store and they can buy all the products in this local food store. Also, we have Friday tasting. This is a weekly concept. Every Friday during summer, we have in front of Butiga some presentation from local farmers. Everything is free. We have cooking show. And then later also they can buy all the products in our shop. So also in this way, we support local economy. Besides this, we of course have our cultural resource. The municipality keeps local traditions, culture alive through festivals and events. We have ethno collection that shows how people in the area lived in the past. Also, we have the Italian community because we are close to the Italy, so also they help us and they protect their local culture. And all our events celebrate local food and local people. Something about infrastructure, because this is also some focus that we needed to go because of the application. I will say that even though we are small, even though we are a village, we have everything what a household needs to live. We have high-speed optic internet. Some cities don't even have this internet. We have it. Digital connect. We are digitally connected. Our streets are very are okay, and the municipality invests every year in the infrastructure and connectivity. Regarding social sustainability, I think that our municipality cares for all generations. We have everything what young family needs to live in a village, from schools, preschools, after-school programs, sport, even for older residents. So I think we have everything, and I think that our village is a proof that you can live in the village and achieve big things. So for conclusion, yes, I will say that you need to believe in yourself, in your product, and when you are small like us and when you have a limited budget, I think that what is important is that you stick together with local community and together that you can make remarkable results. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you very much. Thank you to all speakers for these very insightful presentations. Today we heard three different yet highly complementary perspectives: institutional, youth-oriented, and local. This reflects the very essence of EUSAIR, connecting policies, people, local communities, and practical examples in order to build a more sustainable and competitive tourism region. Before we begin with the discussion questions, I will first like to ask the audience whether there are any questions or comments related to the presentation of the topic of today's panel. Okay, I would now like to continue this session with a short discussion. I have questions for you. For Fotis, dear friend, why is it important to develop cross-pillar strategic flagships?
Well, thanks, my dear colleague Hafed. Actually, it is a discussion that is happening in the corridors as well, not only to this room. So imagine that we have a strategy that came after a diplomatic initiative of Adriatic Ionian Initiative. So we have a strategy. That strategy came from the European Commission as a real tool that could help all the countries to implement things. So the reality is that the strategy wants to be implemented. Nothing more, nothing less. How strategy is being implemented? Through embedding projects. That means we request the cooperation of all the states. All the states were cooperating in order to find out the common ground, common thematics, common activities, common initiatives. It's not just a policy. After it's coming to be entities, that means all the possible entities that we are working together every day. I mean, local authorities, could be universities, could be administrations, public authorities, regional authorities, could be private sector. So all together, they have to cooperate or to find a way to cooperate in order to implement exactly the priorities that we have identified through the action plans. So in the table, we have the action plan, and we are looking for flagships to implement the action plan. In Pillar 4, we have 3 priorities, and in the past, we had other 3, 4, 5, depending where we worked, and we have identified already 7 flagship projects in the past. We have a new one with Mediterranean diet, and we are working a new one. The question is, if we want to see in reality the strategy to be implemented, all these flagship projects to be materialized, that means to provide outcomes in the ground, on the ground. That means to be financed and to be implemented. There is a lot of discussion happening today that, okay, we don't have direct funds to the EUSAIR, but we have financial instruments, we have tools, we have governance structure support, that we have very concrete support from the governance projects. So we are today ready to start thinking that it's the time to see the flagships to be financed and implemented within the ground. I think, for my opinion, this is the most important issue that exists today within the strategy. And also, it answers to the credibility of all the work that you are doing. It answers to the outcomes and impact that we want to have, and to the real results in the field that could be in the benefit of the communities, within the communities and within the states and the regional cooperation. In the end, what we understood within the administration is very important, that when we have within our administration, for example, in the Ministry of Culture, initiatives, planning, strategy, outcomes, results, then we are speaking for national level. All this group of people here, we are together because we have one new entity that is the macro region. So we are speaking for macro region as one entity. And this one entity is coming to be implemented as a whole. And our cooperation is coming to give results to communities that are not communities to one country, but are common communities with common needs and common thematics within our macro region. So a good, for example, sustainable tourist product is a good sustainable tourist project, not only for Greece, but it is for all the macro region. In some areas more, in some areas less. But we are looking for this. And we are looking flagship projects to provide concrete results and concrete outcomes as macro region, not at national level only. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fotis. For Adnan, which tourism destination in the Adriatic Union region will you recommend to colleagues from other macro-regional strategic, and why?
Well, thank you for the question.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you an answer, but some might feel like it's a cop-out answer. And I will go back to what I was talking about here. I wouldn't necessarily be recommending one destination. I would encourage them to explore the entire region. But it all depends on the colleague I'm talking to from the other macro strategy, because there is something for everyone in this region. It really is a beautiful region. There is old towns from Dubrovnik to Kotor. There is beach tourism from Budva to Makarska. There's nightlife for whoever's into that. But it is really a wide spectrum of things that I would be able to recommend. So instead of recommending them one region, I would try to make them stay longer and go from Italy all the way to Greece, explore the entire region. Why not? Especially if we can give them a more affordable way to achieve that, and a more sustainable way. But if we want to point out a good practice in the sense of combining green ecological tourism with a location I have in mind, and that aligns with the priorities we are doing in EUSAIR generally, not just in Pillar 4, I would recommend them to go to Ljubljana, maybe in Slovenia, and Maribor. They have a perfect way that they do that, in my opinion. And yeah, I think those are the things I would recommend to my colleagues from the other macro regions.
Thank you, Mr. Solak. For Linda, how do local people in the region perceive your nomination? What has this nomination brought to your community?
Local people are very happy and proud about this award. They often think that if you live in a rural area, you can achieve result like if you live in a coast. But this award shows that you can also achieve big and remarkable results also if you live in a rural destination and also if you have limited budget. So yes, they are very proud and very happy, and they often say we live in the best village.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. And now for everyone, imagine we are in the year 2034. Fotis, what kind of activities have been implemented within the strategic project and Mediterranean diet and sustainable tourism? How has the project evolved?
Thanks, Afet. I will be retired, first of all. I hope to be retired. And then I will have the product of Mediterranean diet in my village as product destination. This is the ideal, actually. I mean, in 2034, when you listen first of all this question, you are thinking that okay, 2034, every touristic agency will give you a package, and within the package will have the Mediterranean diet as the main tool, and you are going for breakfast in the morning, and you will have EUSAIR as logo, and EUSAIR logo, and after you will see eggs and this kind of stuff, and then Mediterranean diet table. And when you go for breakfast, you will find the Mediterranean diet table, and you will go there to see, this is the product that came after so many years. Actually, this is the ideal that we have. In reality, and speaking also with the European Commission terminology, this will be the end of one programming period. So a new programming period will start. So we have to see the results of the previous programming period. That means we have to see how the Mediterranean Diet flagship project, it's a project that we presented. And thanks for coming, actually. We have you as representative of the Greek Embassy, so it's our pleasure and honor to be Mr. Mitropoulos here. And so having this happening in this programming means that the Mediterranean Diet flagship project that we presented before, there was a presentation on Mediterranean Diet flagship project. Flagship project, we mean a typical project, embedding project that we are expecting to be implemented within the region, and it is a common ground for everybody. That the common ground is the Mediterranean diet, as we know. I mean, agro-food, well-being, health, all this package together, and to see this to be implemented in the ground. That means to have the macro region some good benefits from this project as touristic packages. So to see this, we are expecting that we have to use the tools that we presented before. If you remember, there was one slide that had IDEREC, Adrion, Creative Europe, Euromed, and so on. So it is supposed that 2034, we have found funds from these tools. So in every thematic in one region, for example, we have applied in one specific call that speaks about, for example, Creative Europe or Euromed, for specific sector, and cooperation between 3, 4, 5 countries. At that period, we see the implementation. That means that the project has been financed, and some activities have already been realized or are going on. So imagine that all the region will have at least one workshop presenting the results, definitely, at least some specific spots within the Adriatic Ionian macroregion that we will have specific outcomes, that the outcomes could be, for example, as we said before, that some specific spots present Mediterranean diet touristic packages, and these touristic packages coming as a result of the project, of the implementation of the project, and this is applicable. For example, there was one slide from your side, I think, that was country. It was very nice how you presented this country, countries-based destinations. That was linkages between all the countries. Yeah. That all the countries have this, the same, exactly the same package. So somebody who is going to Croatia has the possibility to have the same package in Greece, and the same package in Serbia, and the same package in Albania. So you have the same packages that promote and so gives the opportunity to the people traveling around to have the same product, touristic products in all the region. And it does not characterize the Greek Mediterranean diet, characterize the Adriatic Ionian Mediterranean diet that includes many different products besides the Greek one, the traditional rice, feta, olive oil, and so on. So it's going on like this in my thought. But definitely I will enjoy this from my village as a retired person. There is no other way.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Adnan, you are no longer part of the Youth Council at the age. What will you say about the Adriatic Union tourism to the future members of the EUSAIR Youth Council?
What will I say about to the future members of the Youth
Yeah.
Council that come after me in 2034? Good question. I have a preference rather. Instead of me necessarily saying something to them, I am once again referring to what I spoke to, a point I spoke before, which is what about archiving everything that happens within the Youth Council and whatnot. In this sense, it would make it easier for the future members of the Youth Council that might come 2034, whatnot, to catch up. But if you really want me to give a subjective answer to what I would say to the future Youth Council members, and specifically that would be in the position I'm in regards to Pillar 4 and the tourism section of the council, I would say be optimistic and keep working on the priorities that we have, trust in the process, and consult with the pillar coordinators that perhaps have more knowledge than us at this point in life.
Okay, thank you, Adnan. Linda, how do you see life and tourism in your community and region in the future?
Our motto is we are a village and we don't want to become a city. So, yeah, so I think, yeah. So I think that we will stick to this motto and that we will. The tourism will always be a huge part of our identity, and we will always have our authenticity, and we will always rely on tourism, but agriculture will always be the main core thing.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions for all panelists. In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge for sustainable tourism development in the Adriatic Union region over the next few years? To Mr. Vlachos and Mr. Solak, how can cultural heritage, youth policies, and tourism be better connected in ways that create real added value for local communities?
Oh, sorry. Thank you for this question, because, for my opinion, it's clear that all the idea for the European Union strategy for Adriatic Union, the Adriatic Union initiative, and all the macro-regional strategies and policies and actions have one common background: the local communities to be involved and the local communities to benefit. So, in reality, what I'm expecting is to see to see not the governments, administrators, and stakeholders just to cooperate, but to see involvement of the local communities. We are so happy today in this forum, and thanks for this, the presidency of North Macedonia, that we have youth council involvement. We have youth organizing a lot of sectors. I don't know if you organized all the sessions together with but you organized many sessions. I mean, you are involved in many sessions. It was not by definition 4 or 5 years ago. So in this way, it would be nice to see the local communities to be involved and benefit, and from the projects, and from all discussions that are happening, and of course all the policy strategies, and to see local communities in macro region to participate, to benefit, participate, and to establish the decision making in the future. It's very optimistic sometimes, but in reality, with the youth involvement and youth reality, we understood that it could happen. So I can see a synergy between many different sectors. We need cooperation in all the levels. For me, it's a luxury not to cooperate between us. I mean, we do not have another way. We know from the past, and we know for the future that we need this. But in reality, we can see through the projects and the cooperation within these thematic steering groups that we have, and all the strategy and Adriatic Union initiative, that through cooperation we have achieved many things. We can achieve more things. And the most important things that we can achieve is the local communities to benefit for whatever is happening in all the levels, in different levels, to benefit from the projects, to benefit from the tourism, to benefit from the politics that are happening, to be involved in many decision-making processes in the future, and to see something that we listened recently in Geneva during the United Nations Agenda 2030 meeting, Regional Forum meeting for Sustainable Developments, to see the new area after 2030 to be beyond GDP, to be beyond gross domestic product. I mean, we are not speaking only about numbers. We are not speaking only about financing. We are speaking about people. We are speaking about humanity and human beings and the well-being of human beings. This is how we can see in the future the policies to be implemented to this direction. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Anton?
Thank you for this. You made my job easier. We can conclude. No, I will just add a few things onto what Fotis said, which is, okay, obviously it would make sense interconnecting tourism. That's also, I think, one of the biggest challenges for tourists that are arriving to the region. But at the same time, there's another section to that which I didn't mention, which is how to give incentive to people that are in tourism to actually engage in, for example, off-season tourism, because they won't have the same income, they won't have the same opportunities. They'll wait for their summer tourist season, while they'll leave this because there's not incentives for them to engage in that. For one example I can think of right now would be, now this would be very hard to achieve probably, but lowering the tax bracket during off-season tourism. Now, of course, this depends on the government actors within each state, but I'm assuming through certain meetings and dialogues with them, it could maybe be achieved. That's a very big maybe. But another thing is something more achievable in regards to giving them incentives is giving certain EU grants to whoever's engaging in off-season tourism, in regards to maybe something that aligns to priorities which we have in EUSAIR with both Mediterranean diet and the rural tourism which we're focusing on. Whoever engages actively in rural tourism, there can be certain grants given to them. Obviously, these are all big procedures. This is not something that can happen overnight or this year or next. But over a longer period of time, I think this can be talked about and faced, because at the end of the day, if that issue isn't solved, we'll stay at where we are in regards to the percentage numbers that I showed you during my presentation. So that's some of the challenges that I would like to point out. Thank you.
Thank you, Adnan. And to Ms. Grebatz, based on your experience, what is the most important element for a small local community to build a recognizable tourism identity without losing its authenticity?
I think that the most important thing is to be proud of your country, of your village, yes, origin, and that once that you have an idea, you must believe in this idea, and very big and important thing is also a support from municipality and all stakeholders like civil and tourist office and all organization in the municipality.
Thank you, Linda. Before we conclude, I would also like to open the floor to the audience. If anyone has questions related to today's topic or for any of our panelists, please feel free to raise your hand. Have questions? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention and participation. Before officially closing this session, I would now like to invite Ms. Eva Chaleta-Plesha, Pillar 4 Coordinator from Croatia, to deliver the concluding remarks. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Before just to say a few words to end or conclude this session, I would like to thank you all for your work, for your contribution, for online meetings, and for coming here to Skopje, and also to thank North Macedonian EUSAIR, North Macedonia Presidency of EUSAIR for hosting us. It was really a great forum, and I really enjoyed talking to you all, to members from Pillar 4, but also from other pillars. So, and I think the full room here also states that there is an interest for our pillar, but also for cross-pillar cooperation. And the idea was to present from different perspectives, and I think we had really great speakers and presentation. And I would just like to emphasize Linda's presentation, because this is a real example what is sustainable tourism. And but it is achieved thanks to those criteria. So within criteria, we see every aspect of a citizen's life in it, or villagers' life in it, and connectivity and transport and multimodality and schools and heritage and education. And when they're all these criteria are filled, you know, sometimes tourism comes like on the top of everything. So I think this is a model how we should proceed to work for the rural tourism and for our other cross-pillar flagship and cross-pillar cooperation. And without youth perspective, it's not possible, because you will sit here in 10 years or even less. It's up to you, up to youth to continue the strategy. So we need to work with you, maybe to develop a EUSAIR brand in tourism, but we can talk about it. And for this, I mean, you already concluded the session with that nice words about humanity. So it's really a great pleasure to work with you always. And these are really not like conclusions that I sent you, but the conclusions will be written in the article and sent to our communication expert on the strategy. So I would just like to thank you for your patience for my talk, because I can talk, don't I? And I wish you all a pleasant afternoon, and we continue to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva, for your concluding words and for the excellent cooperation with Pillar 4 Sustainable Tourism. From my side, I would like to thank all speakers, participants and organizers, and wish you a pleasant afternoon, a successful continuation of your stay in Skopje, and enjoyable networking during the forum activities. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. The family photo, huh?